So I had the unfortunate, I guess you could say, viewing of a post that you made on Volusia Issues, and it was pretty disgusting what was on there. The video, people's comments replying back, but it was regarding you and your children being taken from you by DCF in Florida here. Can you tell me like how we got there, what happened?
Yes, so my children had spent the night at a woman's house that I'm acquainted with. We went to school together. I know her mother a lot more than what I know her. Her mom was my children's home daycare. So they had spent the night there, and I went to go pick them up the next morning, and she didn't agree with the way I discipline, and they've already mentioned things about it, in the past. And my children were acting up in her front yard. So I had disciplined my children. I reached back and I had smacked my daughter just on her thigh. Like, I don't beat my kids or anything like that. And my son wouldn't get in the car while we were there. So to kind of rush it through and not take up too much time, I ended up calling the police because this female locked my kids in her house that morning.
Okay.
She had called them inside after I disciplined them. She was like, "Oh, you were beating your daughter." And I was like, "No, I wasn't beating her. My daughter was screaming at me." So I whacked her on her leg and, just to let her know.
Like a typical parent discipline.
Yeah, typical parent. Like, it's not okay to scream at me. So later on that day, their dad came to pick them up for the first time in about 4 years. He hasn't been involved by choice for the last 4 or 5 years. And DCF came later on that day after he came to pick them up. So I had spoke to the DCF worker. I allowed her in my home. I've dealt with DCF before, and I've never had an issue. Usually a majority of the time they'll come and they'll just do the initial interview or whatever, and I don't even hear from them again unless I request services. This time around it was different. When I spoke to the woman, I had told her that the kids were with their father because I never kept them from him for the first time in about 4 years. And based on their father's behavior that morning, which I have Axon camera footage of that the DCF workers nor the judge would look at, their dad, unfortunately, he hasn't changed. He hasn't healed and gotten better. So he was calling me names, accusing me of being on drugs that morning, and that wasn't true. And I told the DCF worker that he was going to say probably all this crazy stuff about me, accused me of being on drugs. She asked if I was. I told her no. She offered to give me a drug test, and I was like, yeah, I'll pass it. She never even gave me one.
The person who you left the kids with, is that the one who reported it?
No, so I guess the cops had called that morning because of what was said. So, if you listen to the Axon camera footage, which is on my YouTube channel as well of this morning, you could hear, my kids, they said, a few things. But if you knew my kids and you knew, the situation, you could tell that my kids were coached on what to say. My son is repeating exactly what he heard that woman say, who was talking to the cops after I called them. Sure. She was making up things about me. Yeah. And my son was peeking his head out the door the whole time when she was talking.
So you think he was coached?
Yeah, he was definitely coached on what to say.
The police do come, and what do? They just do a report and then send it on? So
the cops came because I had called them on her for locking my kids in the house, and it was New Smyrna Beach Police Department, and they actually, they told her that the kids had to come with me, but it was a whole 45-minute, they went in her house and spoke to my children, spoke to her, and then they said that based off what they heard, they were going to call DCF just for standard.
Just standard. And so once that happens, did DCF come to your house?
Yeah, they came to my house later that day.
And by them coming there, you probably had 1 or 2 people there, and they're coming in, and what are they doing? They looking around your house? Or?
So they just came to my house, and they sat on the table, and they spoke to me about the situation that morning, and that was basically it. Asked a few questions about my kids in school, and I think they asked how I discipline. They asked about their doctors and all that's just the basic stuff, and it seemed to go okay. The initial visit with the worker, like I said, I told her what their dad was going to probably say, just because I've been dealing with him saying stuff on and off for the past 5 years.
There's been a custody battle?
I got 100% custody back in 2024. Okay. I wouldn't call it a battle just because he never showed up to court.
Okay.
So it was Judge Foxman was the one that issued me full custody. And
Okay. They leave at that point, I guess?
yes, they left, and then they went to go speak to my children at their father's house.
Okay.
Because I allowed them to go with their father.
Yeah. And is that where they were speaking to them? Did they have the same story? And were they coached then?
Yeah, I'm assuming that they were coached. I don't know exactly what was said.
But where are your children at now?
They're with their father right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not in like foster care or anything?
They're not in foster care.
And at this point, the DCF is now going to talk to them. How long is it now? I guess you have some paper with you that's like a court order. And who was the judge that was on that one?
It was Judge Joan Anthony.
Joan Anthony, okay. And then I guess after this visit from them and communicating over there with the dad and the kids, they filed paperwork against you?
Yeah, so they wanted to initiate a safety plan, I
Yeah.
guess is what they call it.
Yeah.
So the safety plan was that they would stay with their dad at their grandmother's house, and that their dad would have to monitor the visits of me with my children.
Yeah. Have you ever been arrested at all from this?
From any of
The children's incidents or anything?
No, I have not.
No criminal charges?
No, I mean I have been arrested for like driving on suspended, and then
Yeah.
there was like a incident after I left their dad in 21. It was trespassing at Whaler, which actually was a lie that Edgewater cops made up.
Yeah.
I just was kind of too weak to defend myself in that situation.
But specifically, I'm just thinking of no criminal charges against you.
No.
Nothing like that. Port Orange, New Smyrna, none of these agencies have charged you with anything related to your children.
No.
Okay. So now that this judge, she granted a safety plan, and your kids are now 100% custody with their father, right?
So they put a permanent injunction on me,
Oh, wow.
which gave their dad temporary custody. I guess I still have custody, but I have an injunction to where I'm not even allowed to speak to my kids over the phone. I could only see them 2 hours a week, being monitored by DCF or one of their organizations underneath them, which we're currently with Neighborhood to Families right now.
So it's very difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have an injunction. The stipulations in this injunction are monitoring. Is there any other ones?
Any other like
Stipulations like you can't send them cards and gifts and birthday?
Yeah, I can't even like communicate with their schools or anything to see how they're doing. I can't send them cards. I can't have no form of communication besides those 2 hours a week, which gets interrupted a lot.
How's it get interrupted?
Last week, the woman, she stopped the visit because I was, so my son got cut on his wrist and his leg. I think it was last week or the week before. I still get emails when they go to the doctor because I was the parent involved and everything's linked to me.
Yeah.
So I got an email that my son was at the ER.
Gotcha.
And I was telling my daughter during the visit to make sure that her brother gets cleaned up, like, you know, where his wounds are because you get infection. And I mentioned to them, I was like, nobody's going to care about us like we all three care about each other.
So they didn't want that kind of talk?
No, it went on to like my son said, Aquila cares about us. That's the name of the caseworker that with Neighborhood to Families. And I kind of like paused because I didn't want to like say like, oh no, she doesn't or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I also don't want my children, because I don't know what their plan is or what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Like their dad had already lost full custody through Volusia County Court, so I don't know how
And that custody was given to you. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called 100% time sharing
Sure.
now and 100% sole parental responsibility because they changed the wording of it.
Yeah.
So I have 100% everything when it comes to that. So anyways, I don't know what like DCF is trying to do in the long run. It's kind of concerning.
How long have you been away from your children with this incident?
Since February 6th.
Do they have a time frame that you'll like ever return and it'll get back?
Well, they say that I have to do these parenting classes that they won't let me take. It's supposed to be a 10-week parenting class that they want me to take, but it's been like almost a month now since I submitted the packet to sign up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's emails that I posted online as well that they're saying they don't know when I could start because it's a 10-week parenting class, yet they don't know when the the people that are enrolled in the class right now are going to stop for me to come in.
So where they have one instructor and they're doing that for those. So
Yeah, from what I heard, yeah, it's a parenting class in DeLand.
okay, so you 10 weeks, and you said February. That sounds like March, April, or is that 14 weeks now we're on?
Yeah, they haven't even offered me to take it yet. Besides, like I said, I signed up. So
Yeah. And can you take any of these classes on your own, like at a different location, or?
So the judge told me that I have to take what DCF tells me to take.
Yeah.
And I have to have like a psych evaluation. I have to have a parental fitness assessment. And I asked the judge if I could use my own doctors because at this point I don't trust DCF.
Sure.
And she said, no, I have to use what they recommend, and that the doctors are basically, they're certified in the state of Florida and they're supposed to be unbiased. So if that's the case, it wouldn't make any sense why I can't use my own doctor.
Yeah, every doctor is unbiased. They got to follow the laws. They can treat their patients how the patient wants to be treated. But if they're making evaluations, then I would think, just like any of those, that they're not going to lie, and they're going to have a fair evaluation. So with all the caseworkers, I did listen to the video in there, and a lot of people are indicating that DCF like takes kids like on a whim like this. They seem like they're in a better position than in foster care, right? So that's the scariest part, when you don't know where your kids are. When you do have these types of incidents with either DCF coming to the house, have you learned anything about what DCF has done and your rights based off of when DCF comes to your house?
So I have learned that we don't have to let them in the home without a court order now. I'm not like an attorney or anything like that, but I do study criminal justice. So
Sure. Their powers that they have are seems to be more reaching than what law enforcement can do. When they did come to your house, I mean, did you let them in? And now that you did, do you know that any of the rules and your rights with DCF?
Yeah, I did let them in willfully because I would have never guessed that anything like this would have happened. And I have now learned that we don't have to let them in without a court order.
Yeah.
And if they go to initiate a safety plan, it's completely voluntary.
Right.
And you don't have to agree to any of it without a judge's signature.
And do they go to public school, the kids?
Yeah, I was homeschooling them up until they took them, and now that they have them, their father has them, they put them back in public school.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, and we homeschool as well, because we can do so much more. We can teach our kids so much better. Real life situations. When we do a travel trip, we go and we'll do aquariums. We'll learn about the geography wherever we're at. Or if we go to a music concert, I tell them about the economics of it and teach them as a parent that they may not learn in regular public school. So,
Yes.
So knowing this stuff, what I'm getting is that you don't have a criminal record that has to do with anything with safety of children.
No.
Police have been called on your behalf, and with the injunction, it sounds like you did parental discipline.
Yes.
And just something like that. No, nothing where it's corporal punishment with sticks and switches and paddles. Just a pop, like you said.
Yeah.
And so all this happening, you can't even get into the classes to get your kids back, regardless of whatever hoops they want you to jump through, and that's where you're stuck at. Is that what this is?
Yeah, I can't get into class to get my kids back, and
How old is he?
he's 9.
9. And then how old is the other child?
11.
11, 9 and 11, yeah. It sounds like they've got you to where no matter what you do, that you have to jump through all of their hoops, and otherwise you're going to be, extending this out indefinitely.
Yeah.
Have you had an attorney help you at all?
I did. I had an attorney, and she told me that the lies that DCF were telling me were none of my business.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go pro se.
That's terrible. And have you had the ability to search for another one that might be?
So a lot of attorneys won't touch DCF. There are, I think there's a woman in Palm Coast that will, and there is a woman locally, a man locally in Daytona.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of money that I don't have.
Yeah, that's the terrible part. Everything with criminal justice gets expensive, and it gets to the point that it'll break you. There's no make or break. It is just always break.
Yeah.
Because they have infinite amount of money, they have infinite amount of manpower, and generally it's you and a very small group of your family. What do you think can be done now on your side or their side? What can be done to get your kids back in your...
I'm thinking that a really good attorney is what I would need, like one that isn't afraid to basically stand for what's right in that courtroom.
Port Orange responded to a call where DCF was there. Is that right?
Yes, I had actually told them to call Port Orange Police myself, just because I was angry when they said that they were going to take my kids for no reason.
Yeah. And then would DCF alleged anything on that?
Yeah, the woman had put in the report to get the injunction on me that I had a knife in my hand and got physically aggressive with her, and Port Orange Police intervened, and that never happened. That never even came close to happen, and it was completely made up.
And that you would have got a report, and the way Port Orange is, when we talked in the beginning here, Port Orange will arrest you if you pat someone on the back and they didn't like it. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. So no charges there. So was there 2 incidents, one in New Smyrna and one in Port Orange?
Yeah, so it was when New Smyrna was when I had called them when that woman had locked my kids in her home. Yeah. And then Port Orange came 2 days later. So
you called Port Orange when DCF showed up?
Yeah, well, DCF ended up calling them. Like, I told them to call the police just because, like, I felt myself getting angry.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to hurt nobody or do anything stupid. So I told them to call Port Orange Police Department.
And if, in Florida, it's an aggravated assault if you pull out a knife or something like that. So,
yeah.
So I'm saying Port Orange would have made an arrest. That's how they are.
Yeah.
And no arrest.
No arrest.
No charging affidavit?
No report on it. Like, they documented that they came out that day.
Yeah.
But there was nothing more than just, like, what they document.
Yep. So, it's a terrible situation. We're doing this interview on Mother's Day, and I'm sure it's not a fun day to do it, but it's a very important one because, all mothers deserve to be with their children.
It's really upsetting, and I just... like, if my story could be used to just stop this, like, I would be happy because it can't continue. Anything else you want to add that I can, that people that are watching this can hear and see and just get your... I guess just basically, I don't know the word for it, but make sure when DCF does come out, like, just make sure you know your rights first, and don't just allow these people in your home without knowing your rights, because we have a lot more rights than what we're aware of. I think you hit that on the spot here. The only thing I can tell people is that when police come, don't answer the door. Yeah. Don't answer the door. You don't have to. You're not required to. If they have a search warrant to come in your house, they will come in your house. They don't care. But the last thing on mine is I hope that you can find some resolution. And with this company, maybe have you reached out to them directly and said, when is your next class? Yeah, I have, and they can't tell me when. And you've done all this in writing to them asking for these classes? Yeah, I have emails. So. Well, I'm going to wish you the best of luck. I wish there was something that I could do. Maybe someone that is watching this, maybe will see it and be like, oh yeah, let me see if I can just run a couple pieces of paper through and find out what's going on just to get you in these classes, because it sounds like you're locked in their hoops and they're not going to let you out of it until that's all done. Yeah. So, but they won't let you do it. Yeah, they won't let me do it, and it's crazy. And my son, he's kind of like, he's 9, he's clueless, he's just kind of happy to be with his dad for the most part. Yeah. But my daughter, she wants to come home. We're at my mom's house for a little bit that day, and I had left to come get our clothes and stuff, and my son put his hand on like my van, and I could see his face through like the rear view mirror, and he was putting his hand on my van like he was trying to stop me from leaving because he was scared. Well, I hope that someone watches this may be able to help you. I see that you're tearing up. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's okay.
It's terrible. Hopefully you get to talk to them or see them today. You get to see your kids on Mother's Day today?
No, I can only see them on, I think, Wednesdays right now for
Wednesdays.
2 hours. So.
But yeah, make it up on Wednesday then.
Yes.
So other than that, I'll let you get back to your day, spend some time with your mom.
Yes.
And thank you for telling your story. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.